Ladies and gents, welcome back to TakeOff Sports Talk. It's your host, Smallwood Worldwide, back again with another video. Today, as usual, with our TakeOff Sports Talk segment, we have the Goodman brothers in the building. Show some love to them. We got Aj, we got Greg Goody, we got TJ. We all in the building here. This is our Super Bowls episode. So, you saw the Super Bowl like we did. It was fantastic. Nothing short of greatness being displayed in that game. Fellas, with the first time in history there being two black quarterbacks starting on opposite teams there in the Super Bowl. What did that mean to you? Aj, we're going to start off with you.
Well, thank you, Antoine, and thanks for playing Hurt. I mean, wow, what a musical. Yeah, it was a win-win for me. I felt real breezy going in all week because I was like, regardless of who wins, I win. You know what I mean? It was big for the culture. But on a bigger note, to me, it means like a changing of the guard of what it means to be an NFL quarterback, a top tier NFL quarterback, in terms of like the type of skill set that you need in order to be successful now. I'm not saying that a drop back quarterback, which was never, I guess, the sole arena of white quarterbacks. I'm not saying that style is dead or that style is not effective, but I think that you have to be able to move at least a little bit, be mobile in terms of being mobile in the pocket, whatever that means. Being mobile in terms of being able to pick up first downs. And I mean, it's conducive to the things that they're going towards now, like, playing all 4 downs to get 10 yards as opposed to playing 3 downs and punting. I mean, like it's just a changing of the guard. I think we saw elements of it, earlier in the career of people like Michael Vick, and someone could even go as far back as Randall Cunningham. I'm sure there was other people who did it prior to that. Y.A. Tittle and Fran Tarkenton would like a word as well, I'm sure, but, get those guys out of here. Anyway, so I think that now it's become something that is not only done but is accepted. And the fact that it is accepted not only makes it easier for more of these quarterbacks to get drafted, but I think that the more that you look at the quarterback that can make plays on their own, they're going to look more and more like the people on this panel as opposed to Peyton Manning, so to speak. So that's kind of what it meant to me. That's what it meant to me.
What did you think of the performance with Hurts and Mahomes?
Hurts had a damn cape on. Hurts had a cape on. To be fair, honestly, he probably should have won MVP anyway. Mahomes was awesome. I mean, like, you both played like perfect games, honestly. Like the ratings were through the roof as far as like their quarterback ratings from what I could tell from my high test. The only person who didn't come with it completely was, well, I'm not going to say that, but Jalen Hurts, I mean, like, I think that the reason why that guy stopped himself short is because the Chiefs knew that if they gave the Eagles back the ball, not only would the Eagles score a touchdown, but also they would have scored a 2-point conversion because he was unstoppable the entire night. And they couldn't do anything to Jalen Hurts, like nothing. And he played himself out of a lot of criticism that I think that he had gotten over the years. Because the whole thing with the Eagles was like, oh, how good are they going to be? The only thing that could hold him back is Jalen Hurts. And he improved all year. And then he came in the Super Bowl, biggest game ever, which also, if you remember, he had one of his worst games ever in the national championship when when Tua became a thing. Who's strong in the pocket and knows the playbook. He actually came in, and completely reset what everyone's expectations were for him. So I was really happy with Jalen Hurts' performance. And that was actually one of the all-time greatest performances, although he won't be a name mentioned later. But he had one of the greatest performances ever. Mahomes was just gritty, man. Mahomes is like any means necessary. It's the second week in a row where that high ankle sprain, and he went flu game on it, yo. He just took off, and he got those first downs that they needed. He always comes through, and it's like no matter how much he's hurt, he's Mahomes. He's Mahomes, man. 5 years, 2 Super Bowls, 3 AFC championship games.
His 2 MVPs.
Yeah. His worst season was like, what was it? An AFC overtime loss against Tom Brady. What more can I say? I mean, like, the guy's ridiculous. So that's my take on it.
Most def, love it. T, what you got for us?
I think Aj laid it out really well, man. I mean, I don't feel any differently about anything. I'll say from a personal standpoint, to see 2 black quarterbacks in there, definitely gave me, a real sense of pride. We see there's more and more black quarterbacks in the league, which is a good thing, of course. But the changing of the guard piece, the reason why I want to latch onto that, from Raj's comments is, there aren't a lot of black coaches, but having an abundance of black quarterbacks means that the quarterbacks, they have to interact with the owners as well, right? So this should lead to more comfort of the owners being around black folks, and I'm hoping that it results in elevated numbers for black coaches in the NFL. So I'm hoping that it leads to something like that as well. And maybe, God willing, at some point, some black ownership. So yeah, it was a really tremendous sense of pride for me to have two black quarterbacks that both played stellar football games. I got to say, I got exactly what I wanted out of the Super Bowl. I wanted Mahomes to win because of for legacy factor. I mean, you guys heard all the talk coming up to the game. If he loses, he'll never be this and there. I mean, the guy's like 27 years old or something. Give me a break. He's got a lot more time to play. But him winning this was crucial to that conversation not being, cast aside and having to be, readdressed like maybe 5-6 years down the road or something like that. And Jalen Hurts, I wanted him to play well. I wanted him to get out there and show everybody what he can do. I wanted him to show them that all of that hard work and that preparation that he did and all throughout the season, how he played, he is not going to fold under pressure. And he went there and he played an excellent game. We got a great Super Bowl. It was one of the better Super Bowls in memory for me. I mean, it was down to the wire for the most part. I just had a great time with the whole thing. So, yeah, since
Greg, what you got for us?
Well, let's not forget the real MVP of the Super Bowl, which is Rihanna.
Don't do it.
With that being said, with that being said, yeah, man, my thoughts were it's about time, man. It's about time that we had two black quarterbacks, and my whole thought process was because when it comes to these kind of things, I'm usually a glass half empty kind of guy, and so this probably should have happened years and years and years ago. When you think about how many years that black quarterbacks have been held back in this league. Right. I mean, having to go play elsewhere, having to change positions, yada, 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 just so on and so forth. This probably could have happened back in the 80s, maybe even the 70s. This should not be a phenomenon. That's all I'm saying. This shouldn't be a phenomenon. But the fact that they did both play, and I'll say this, those two young men, it is the best quarterback play I've seen on both sides of
both sides.
Yeah, on both sides. On all sides. On all sides. They was good on both sides. Yeah, but it's the best quarterback play that I've seen from two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl going head to head. Like clearly, I can't remember another Super Bowl where I saw both quarterbacks killing it like this. It was amazing. Jalen Hurts was unstoppable. And the only thing that may have stopped Mahomes is the fact that Jalen Hurts wouldn't let him on the field. But when he got on the field, that was basically an automatic touchdown. I mean, it was a great matchup. I mean, I don't see how I can't remember, at least in recent memory, where both quarterbacks looked this great. Literally, it came down to one mistake made by one of the quarterbacks, and that's what decided the game. That is literally the only thing. There's only one knock on any quarterback play the entire game. One fumble. That's it. Outside of that, both sides were perfect. Patrick Mahomes went, what did he go, 13 for 14 in the second half?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's unheard of. To do that, I don't
on one leg.
Oh, yeah, to do that on one leg and then to have a sprained ankle and basically save the game by rushing for a touchdown. What is it, a 26-yard scamper, if you will?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, both of these guys, there was no give, a whole lot of heart, and it was sad that one of them had to go home empty-handed.
Yes.
Well, not exactly empty-handed. Jalen Hurts is going to come home with a huge contract because you have to. Yeah. Like at this point, I don't understand what you're doing if you don't pay this man. And that's that's me subliminally telling the Ravens to go ahead and give Lamar Jackson his check.
Hmm.
Yo, I'm gonna jump in here. So for me, I agree with everything everybody said, right? Number one thing for me was two black QBs was long overdue. We often hear about quarterbacks having to stand in a pocket, and I think since the days of Jefferson Street Joe, this is precedes Terry Bradshaw, right? Black quarterbacks have always had like swag in the way that they move. They didn't just stand there with the ball, right? So this was the evolution. I think Aji might have said this of quarterback play. And I feel like it's a changing of the guard as well, where it's no longer about just standing there. These folks delivered and did what they had to do to win. It wasn't about statistics. Mahomes, I don't even know if he had 200 yards passing, but look at the impact he had. Yeah, but he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, though. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it was efficient. And, but that 30 seconds later, touchdown. So it was like insane. It was insane to watch. Jalen Hurts, who they tried to convince to be a wide receiver to have any sort of career. I had the pleasure of watching him since he was a true freshman, and it's like he was always unbelievable. Watching his growth and his leadership, to be unfazed by outside talk, to get his teammates to always buy in, and doing that on the world's biggest stage, the Super Bowl, and put on probably what I would say arguably one of the greatest top 3 performances ever. Like, you take away that fumble, even with the fumble, it was still like a flawless performance to me, because
with the fumble, yep.
When he went down the field and they needed a touchdown, I think they were down 35-27. He could have faded. He could have cracked. He was delivering strikes, okay? And this is still a very good Chiefs defense that was doing their job in the Super Bowl. Not as good as the 49ers they faced previously, but still Super Bowl caliber. He goes down and scores a touchdown, and then a 2-point conversion where Aj knew what was coming, Greg knew what was coming, Tipu was coming, I knew what was coming. They weren't going to throw that ball. It was going through Jalen Hurts, and they couldn't stop him. You got a chance to see why he squats 600 pounds and he just dragged dudes into the end zone. That's like the heart of a champion. And I mean, it was just undeniable. I think for me, there were no losers here, right? It was one of the best Super Bowls I've seen in recent memory. And I'll be honest, I hope we get a rematch next year, because it was great to also see them very congratulatory of each other.
Yeah.
After the game, Mahomes didn't have to say it, but he said, you know what? All the critique of Jalen Hurts at this point, it should stop it, after this performance. What else do you need to see? You heard people talking about Mahomes leading up to the game. Mahomes had been to 3 Super Bowls in the last few years? He's now won 2 of those 3. 5 AFC title games. The guys that they try to say are better than him.
Yeah, I want to say, on top of that, for
I'm
them to start off this year,
smoking a Philly blunt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, shout out to Papa Mahomes. Pat
Daddy is a Pat Daddy.
Yo, I didn't even know that Patrick Mahomes was raised by Samuel Jackson. He is one of the blackest people I've ever seen in my life. I love that dude.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yes.
Burrow.
Yeah, he was raised by a true pimp. That dude is the best.
Yes,
I forgot the point I was trying to make. Oh, yeah. In the beginning of this year, for them to rank Patrick Mahomes, what was it, number 5 in the league, is ridiculous. I said it was ridiculous then, and it looks even stupider now, the people that made these comments. I don't know what they're looking at, and I don't understand what their goal is.
Right.
And shitting on this dude. Like, there's no reason for it. There's zero reason.
Only Gino was better. I mean,
you just watch your mouth, mister.
When you look at the guys calling the game, right? This is my wish for the Super Bowl. So we had, for the first time ever, 2 black quarterbacks starting. I'm going to see a black guy in the booth. We've never had that. We always get 2 old white guys. In this case, we got a former player, Greg Olsen, who's fantastic, but we need a little more. Right. Yeah, Greg Olsen is fucking great in it, right?
Yeah.
I want to see a brother get a 3-man broadcast team and let them get a chance to call some of these games, because some of the guys in the booth, I feel like they have and not this Super Bowl, but throughout the season, a bias. Like the guys that they put above Hurts, the guys they try to put above Mahomes. Again, 5 straight AFC titles. He's never come up short of an AFC title game since becoming a starting QB. Okay?
Yep.
The guys that they talk about who've had weapons, defense, and everything, either from the beginning or their second year starting, they haven't sniffed it. I think the only one that they put up there with him is Joe Burrow, and he's of course gone to the Super Bowl. But if you remove Burrow from the equation, I don't want to hear about Josh Allen. I don't want to hear about old buddy from the Jags. Love Trevor Lawrence. He's not there yet. He's not there. He's not there. I don't want to hear about Herbert. Herbert throws a pretty ball. He's not there. I don't want to hear about anybody. And even my guy, Lamar Jackson, I don't want to hear about him. You know what they all have in common? They've gone the same distance as Dak Prescott, divisional rounds. I'm talking about championships. And if you are talking at that level, Hurts and Mahomes and Burrow, whatever order you got him in, and you should have Mahomes at the top at this point, being that he's won 2 Super Bowls, okay, out of 3 appearances. Anybody else?
In 5 years.
I mean, Burrow outside looking in.
Hey, he's there. He's right there.
Yeah, Smoking Joe's dope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's at this point to me, he's the second best quarterback in the league.
But they always talk about.
They talk about Josh Allen.
They talk about him a lot, right? And the problem I have with it is he's cool, but he hasn't proven it in the playoffs where it counts, right? And he has a defense.
He can be erratic.
Exactly.
Yeah, he can be very erratic.
Look at Dak Prescott. One game he's great. The next game he throw you 3-4 interceptions. Josh Allen since college, right? At Wyoming. You know what he does? Interceptions when he goes, he does the exact same thing. So it's a wish.
I think it's going to turn into Josh Allen is turning. If he doesn't get his act together, he's going to be nothing but strong Kirk Cousins. That's all he's going to be. He's going to be strong Kirk Cousins.
He's going to be Dante Culpepper.
Well,
I don't know. I don't think he's going to be that good.
Oh. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh.
That's another show, but I do have questions about that too, because the hype train is always real. So when it came to 2 black QBs playing in the Super Bowl, it's like I want people to take some surprise out their voice. These guys have been great on another level for a long time. Yeah. Let's give them their props.
Oh, not Jalen Hurts a long time. This is his second year starting?
Second year starting, but he's been great. He's not been Nick Saban stuff. Go back and watch those tapes. They had him basically.
No one saying he's a bum. I'm saying it's only been 2 years, and in that 2 years he's gotten to 1 Super Bowl. Now he's on a trajectory to be something special. Like the only reason I'm not calling Patrick Mahomes the GOAT yet is because he hasn't been around long enough to be the GOAT yet.
If Jalen,
but here's the thing: there's a guy that they call the GOAT that only made 1 Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, darkness. Okay, he's not on the same level as Mahomes. He's not.
No. And Aaron Rodgers was prior to Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers was, I think, the best all-around quarterback I had seen.
Yeah,
getting out the pocket, throwing on the run, accurate pinpoint. Mahomes
but there's intangibles that's there though.
He's better in everything. Mahomes is better in everything.
I mean,
he plays. Why they win?
He plays and 1 football. Like this.
Yeah.
He's Magic Johnson with a football. Yes.
It's like, what are you doing?
The thing about these 2 black QBs that makes me the most proud is their leadership.
Yes.
Incredible leaders.
You got it. Yes.
Talking about Aaron Rodgers, guy's a great talent, which it took me a long time to get to the point where I would say that, right? Because
he's a great talent, but he's an
I love him and I hate him. It's like a weird thing. Like I love Aaron Rodgers, but I can't stand Aaron Rodgers. It's weird.
His teammates can't either.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers' smugness. I feel like if you're gonna be a star, act like it. But you still gotta be a good leader.
So you're gonna be a star, act like
maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. He acts like a star.
He's super smug. Like I said, on the outside looking in, I mean, I was like, he's earned the right to be like that. However, he shouldn't be like that with his team. Like that's bad. That's bad leadership right there.
If Jalen Hurts never plays another game, like he played that.
Oh, he's he's great.
He played.
Like, no one can take anything away from him.
You know what I like? I told people, I said, if you give Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson wide receivers in a running game, guess what's going to happen? They're going to elevate.
No, Jalen Hurts does have wide receivers.
One of them got one. One of them
now.
Didn't. Yeah, one of them got one. One of them didn't.
Right. He got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. New level. They've always had a good running game. But the running game is nothing if you can't pass. And so when they went and got A.J. Brown, which I couldn't believe Tennessee let him go, it's over. It's over.
Tannehill wasn't going to do anything with that.
No, he wasn't.
No. Tannehill, I'm pretty sure he's on his way to being a Commander in a few years.
He's got Commander written all over him.
Got Commander written all over him.
Yo.
He's on his way. Hey, and speaking of all these black quarterbacks, I don't know what they're doing with Lamar Jackson here in Baltimore, but if I was him, I would start talking to Pittsburgh. If I was Lamar Jackson, I would start talking to Pittsburgh.
If I was the Ravens, I'd be like,
yeah.
Send him a blank check. What do you want?
You can have whatever you like.
No, I think, but isn't Aaron Rodgers possibly going to the Raiders?
He ain't going nowhere.
We don't know.
He ain't going.
Aaron Rodgers wakes up tomorrow.
Oh, don't trade him. I believe the Green Bay will get rid of him.
Oh, he's done there. He's done.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back this season.
The teammates have already started saying they want Jordan Love. So
Jordan Love looked good the first time, like 2 years ago, he didn't look that good, but you see the progression of him. Like when he started, I think Aaron Rodgers got himself together after he saw him start again this year. A game, and he was like, "Oh, this dude he figured it out. Let me get myself together."
Now, Aaron Rodgers was smart. He could pull off trying to talk to San Francisco. Now, I know Green Bay ain't gonna make that happen. There's no way they'd do that.
Never.
But if
they'll send him to the AFC first.
Yeah, if he can get himself a nice little 3-way trade thing going and get himself a San Francisco,
you look good in green. Why don't you go to New York?
Yeah,
that's what they would say.
Who knows what he'll come up with in that dark room?
Yeah.
Even if he goes to the Jets, though, the Jets could be nasty with Aaron Rodgers.
This would be really nasty.
They could be nasty.
Could be really nasty.
I don't think they'll beat the Chiefs, but they'll definitely be in the playoffs.
I want Lamar for the Jets, man.
Hey, listen, I like it because Baltimore had a chance to pay him, and now they're talking about if we give him a big contract, how can we get weapons? And the argument is that you've had him on a rookie contract for almost 5 years.
You should have never gotten
him anything. He should have been had weapons. You didn't do anything. His tight end shouldn't be his best weapon. It's literally Michael 2.0.
This is a LeBron James on the Cavs situation. Like, what are y'all doing?
I would like to see him on Pittsburgh, Greg. That would be cool. And
I would love to see him in Pittsburgh.
They would be rivals too. But I do.
They would hate him.
But I do question the idea of Tomlin. It would be so black, man. They would never get any shine, man. They would not like them dudes at all, man.
Yo, that team would be so black. Patrick Mahomes' dad would be the mascot.
Spread it around, man.
But yo, let's wrap that, right? Shout out to both quarterbacks putting on an amazing performance. Smoking on that blunt, Philly blunt. We're gonna move on. Greg, who are your top 5 Super Bowl teams all time?
All time, like the best ones that I've seen?
The best of the best that you've ever seen. Your top 5.
All right.
That's better.
I don't really have it in a particular order.
Right.
The Washington, formerly known as Redskins, the team with Doug Williams. That was a remarkable joint.
87.
Yeah, the 87. Yeah, 87 Skins. The Broncos, Elway's first trip to going.
That's a good pick.
Love that. Well, are we saying best or favorite? Because these are my favorites.
Whatever.
But it's your top 5. It's your top 5, right?
Okay.
That's what it matters.
Greg, we're saying bestest.
Best?
Better.
Second.
Better.
Okay, I second that. Better team. All right. The Chiefs, when they had Tyreek Hill and all that, the Chiefs from a couple years back.
Good team.
That's one of my. I don't see anybody who's gonna beat them. And of course, I'd be remiss not to say the 49ers with Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, and basically the all-star team. The Western Conference All-Stars at that point, that 49ers team. And as much as I absolutely hate this team, I'm going to tell you right now, the 95 Cowboys,
93.
I think it was 95.
I think you're thinking about 93.
The one with Deion Sanders.
Oh, no, you are thinking about 95.
That's with Switzer as the coach?
Yeah, with Barry Switzer.
Okay.
That is the most ridiculous team. I'll put it to you like this. As soon as they signed Deion, I was like, oh, well, you should just cancel this season. It's a wrap. It's over. There ain't no way anyone's beating them.
No.
The year before, Dion was on the Niners and they won. So as soon as he went to the Cowboys, I was like, oh, he's just out here he's a mercenary. He's just going out here to get rings.
Two different teams.
Yeah, that
him
might be.
Him and Charles Haley.
Yeah, him and Charles Haley.
49ers.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah.
And between those two teams, and I got to give honorable mention to the Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom. That was one of my favorite teams to see that I saw win too.
Nice. Arch, jump on in.
Yeah, please let me just jump.
Alley-oop.
I was like, he's gonna take everything. No, okay. So it's the top 5. I got the '93 Cowboys. That was prior to Dion's entrance in there, but they had the triplets. They done it. They had Godson in the stomach. They killed the Bills. It was crazy.
Everyone killed the Bills.
Anyone that kills the Bills is good with me.
So look,
well, that's everyone.
Weird beef. When I was a kid, one of the very first games, I think the first game I ever saw was the Super Bowl between the Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers. I went for the Bengals.
Right. We watched it in school.
Yeah, because I love Tigers. So I went for the Bengals, and I was this close to the Bengals being my team when I was a kid. And
good choice.
So I hated Joe Montana for beating them. So with all that being said, the '94 49ers is a team that I went with Steve Young. I know that sounds petty, but hey, what are you gonna do?
It's the pettiest thing I've ever heard.
You know what I'm saying? It is petty. So a team that I heard too much about to not put them on the list. I don't think I ever saw them. I did see highlights, but of course I never saw them in person. Chicago Bears '85. I just heard that team just ran roughshod. Yeah, I just heard they ran roughshod through the league, and it was like one of the most dominating teams of all time.
Yeah, it was that one year, and then it all went to garbage.
Yeah, that was my number 3. My number 2 is the legendary Legion of Boom Seattle Seahawks. They just, I mean, like I don't have much more to say than that. Actually, that also leads me to saying the best football game that I've ever seen was the 49ers versus the Seahawks, that NFC Championship game. That's the greatest game.
Yeah.
That was best. That's
that
a top
game had
fiver.
everything.
The best game, you know what the best game ever was that we've ever seen. Chiefs and Bills last year. That's the best game I've ever seen in my life.
I still got the other one ahead of it. Because the defense in the other one was, like that game was just so well played. I was like, Kaepernick. It
was like a movie.
Yeah, it was like a movie. And my man Sherman tipped the ball, held his hand out. He was like, the whole thing was dope, man. It was such a great. I remember saying to some of my friends, I was like, "Yo, we just watched the Super Bowl," and they was like, "Nah, don't disrespect Denver like that." And then they came out to Denver, they crushed it, kicked over the buildings, like they were snooping in a rap video, man. Kicked over the buildings.
New York, big city of dreams.
Last but not least, my number 1 team, and I think I've said this before, is the '91 Washington team with Ripken and all them. Not necessarily because on this list they were probably the second least talented team on there, but they ran through everybody. Like I've never seen a team that good.
Yeah, they went hard. Players. They went hard.
They were even better than that undefeated New England team. That's how much they were running through people. It was crazy.
Yeah. That crazy. New England team had some help. But, you know, we'll wait for the next Tim Donaghy documentary to come out about that. They were burning tapes for a reason. Shout out to Goodell. Now, I'm going to jump on in here, yo. A couple of my teams already been mentioned, so I'm going to do it like this. No particular order. 2000 Ravens. I'm big on defense. And that team, boy, with Trent Dilfer at quarterback, they went through the league and they just came out and put on one of the best performances I've ever seen in a Super Bowl, where I think the defense scored more points than the offense, if I'm not mistaken. It was just such a dominating thing where the 85 Bears were cool, but they walked so like this Ravens team can run, because I never seen it where they knew, without cheating, every play that was happening. It was just insane. They were there, they were cracking, they were hitting, and they were unapologetic about stomping them out. So that's the 2000 Ravens, right? Now, I like beatdowns. Why? Because I believe the best team should win. Do the best team always win? No. The '94 49ers, guess what? the Chargers lucked their way into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Alfred Papunu with a little surprise catch and sneak pass and everything. I said, boy, Steve Young was waiting on that. I think they put up almost 50 points on them, yo.
I thought it was 55. I thought it was 55, Twan. That joint was ugly.
Steve had a career
ugly.
day.
Gave him a snotty nose from body blows, yo. That game was over at halftime. It was a wrap. I was like, I love it. So 94 49ers. Next up, I got the 91 Washington team, right? Why I love them so much is the fact that they embodied team. Everybody usually gives the credit to one player, one coach, but you can't really spotlight a superstar player on that squad. And they went like 14-2. And then they just,
but he's a quiet star. Art Monk.
Which one?
Art
Okay,
Monk.
well, yeah.
Quiet
Yeah,
star.
yeah. One of the posse. Yeah. He was dope though. But like they were one of the ones that just got it done. And nobody was stopping them. And everybody thought Buffalo was gonna beat them. And I'm like, no. 37-24 later, Buffalo had their heads hanging. I was like, yeah. So shout out to that 91 team, right? My other team is, now I'm going to make an honorable mention that Aji mentioned, is the Legion of Boom. I told people that Peyton Manning and his Omaha shit wasn't going to work that Super Bowl because Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner, that whole team was just freaking outstanding. And then you add on to that Percy Harvin, Russell Wilson, who never takes his eyes from downfield. It was just, they're lucky they didn't go back to back, but thank Pete Carroll for
back to back.
I'm telling you. But that was a legendary squad.
Not to mention, shout out to Marshawn Lynch. You should have had that.
Oh, easy. He ran 9.5 yards on a previous play. Why would you not hand it off again? It's literally 30
seconds. Let me go back and relive this, man. It's only to relegate this, man. Come on. Don't relegate that.
I know. My number one team is personal to me. It's one of the first Super Bowls I remember as a kid watching with my father. It was Doug Williams putting on a show, coming back down from 10-0, had a twisted knee or ankle or something, and he gutted it out and put up 42
numbers.
Just ungodly stuff, man. He blew them out, and it was a performance that to this day, I still consider that probably the greatest single-handed performance in the Super Bowl. So the 87 Washington, amazing. T, what you got?
It's a little more historical, gentlemen. It's got, I guess, some personal stuff. One of them is very, very much personal because it's one of the most vivid Super Bowl memories that I have.
Be like, Otto Graham, come on down.
I didn't go quite back that far, but I do have the 78 Steelers.
Yeah, and then Johnny Unitas roared back.
Going back to the AFL, yo.
I can't go like full Mad Dog.
Russo. Yeah, you got to go full Mad Dog Russo.
Yeah. But I do have the 78 Steelers on my list. And the reason for that is, they got 10 Hall of Famers. 10 Hall of Famers. They had one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL.
I don't think you can say one of. I think they might have been the best. The
Steel Curtain. It might have been
the best.
I mean, they had a good offense too, right? They had Lynn Swann, and they were kicking butt. And I think that might have been like the last year that they were any good. I think they won.
Yeah.
Was that the last of the four that they won?
They won two, and then someone beat them. The Raiders, I think, that won in between, and then they won two more, and then the Raiders won. I think something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But that team was before everybody got old overnight or whatever happened to them. This is going to be kind of an odd one. I put the 2020 Buccaneers because of what they had to overcome. Right, because Brady went through murderer's row to get there. He beat Drew Brees, and then he beat Aaron Rodgers, and then he ended up beating Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And they had a pretty stacked team. Their road to get there, I thought, was pretty tough.
I'm going to treat him like they treated LeBron. It was a bubble championship. It means nothing.
Yeah, man.
It's a chip.
Football's a little different. You can't go out there half-stepping. So, I mean, the fact that Brady left from an organization he was there for 20 years, and this was his first year there, and he managed to pull together that team that I don't know how much they believed in.
With no spring training either.
Yeah, and they had a rocky start. They had after the bye week, they just started slapping people around. They went all the way to Super Bowl, and they, Mahomes, he acquitted himself well, but they took a shellacking that day. They They got beat up by the Bucks. So I got that team. 85 Bears, you guys already mentioned them. And they had that might have been the best defense in NFL history, either that one or maybe the 76.
Yeah, for that year.
Yeah.
And this one's more personal. The 89 San Francisco 49ers. That was one of the worst beatdowns I've ever seen. I remember that XXIV in the middle of the field and just seeing the ball just keep destroyed them. It beat the living hell out of the Broncos.
Yeah.
So
it was sad for me.
Yeah, I know it was. But man, what a team. And then, paying homage. So number one, just to pay homage, I did put the 72 Dolphins. I never saw them play, of course, as before my time, but they went undefeated. I mean, they had the most and the fewest points allowed. I mean, they were like number one in every category. So, I got to give it to them. Kareem's record just got broken after 30-something years, right? This record that they have
never going to be broken.
Those fans. That's how difficult it is to do what they did. So,
yep.
I got to pay homage to that.
Zonk.
I love it. Love it. Larry Zonka, they're going to pop champagne every year, yo, till they gone.
What's his name? Mercury Morris?
Oh, yeah. Yo, he was nervous in 08, yo. 07, 08, whenever.
He should have been. He should have been.
Like, wait, they didn't get it? He started going out there throwing flags on his own. He was like, holding.
I mean, every year he should buy Manning something. He owes Eli a lot.
Hey, probably does, yo. But look, when we talk about top Super Bowl teams, we'd be remiss if we didn't highlight the best Super Bowl performances that you've ever witnessed. Greg, I'm gonna let you kick this off.
That's
what
easy.
do you consider to be
Doug Williams? Doug Williams by far. Like, we're talking about a dude who wasn't supposed to be starting. He was. I mean, the fact that he was under this had a whole race on his back while he was playing at that. Also got injured during the game and came back in and proceeded to break every record in NFL history in the Super Bowl.
You said he had Harriet Tubman on his back, and he was.
So he had Harriet Tubman on his back. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers. He had the whole race on his back.
Yo, you know how they had those paintings and stuff where they just threw every black person every.
Yeah.
That's what he had them all on his back. Forrest Whitaker, he wasn't even a thing really at that point. He had everybody on there.
Yeah, Tupac. Yeah, Tupac up there.
Tupac. He had the whole race on his back. I mean, he had to. I don't think that there's been a dude under that level of pressure with that little amount of playing time to do what he did. I mean, it was spectacular. After that, I was like, oh, because I was just a kid. And after that, I was just like, oh, this guy's got a job forever. He's definitely a starter next year and everything else. Nope. Nope. He went there, broke all the records, played one of the greatest, not even one of, I have to say, it's got to be the greatest Super Bowl performance I've ever seen by anybody. Because he wasn't supposed to be that. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if Joe Montana does it. It's one thing if John Elway does it. Doug Williams wasn't supposed to be that. It was murderous. It's the best thing I've ever seen in a Super Bowl by one individual player in my life. Easily Doug Williams.
I'm gonna jump in before I let Argenti go, just because Greg covered my number one, Doug Williams. If Doug Williams didn't exist, it would have been this Jalen Hurts performance. But Doug Williams does exist because, listen, when you witness that Super Bowl, and I always encourage people to go back and watch it, it's nothing short of a miracle. But when you watch the interview surrounding it in modern day times, and hearing Doug Williams talk about when he twisted his knee, he was afraid he wasn't going to get to play. Hearing the former coach Joe Gibbs talk about he was in a rush to go ahead and bench him. They were down 10-0 and he was hurt. He immediately was moving in. I forget the backup at that time. It's like he had all kind of odds against him. Greg highlighted it beautifully. Excuse my voice, folks. Doug Williams, greatest Super Bowl performance ever for me. T, what you got?
Hey, Doug Williams is a great pick, guys. I had actually considered that being my individual performance as well, but I'm actually going with Joe Montana.
Oh my!
I'm not mad.
Because let me tell you what, Doug Williams had some adversity that he had to overcome during that game. That's part of what made it fantastic.
Yeah.
From the time the coin was thrown, Joe Montana was all over the Broncos. I mean, it was 55-10. I think they had to pull him out of the game at one point because they were just slapping him around so much. I looked this up. He 5 touchdowns, 297 yards,
That's crazy.
no interceptions, 22 of 29 completions. They had to pull him out just to be merciful. Have you guys ever seen a merciful Super Bowl? I hadn't.
No.
You know,
He would have put 70 on them if he could.
He would have, right? If coach didn't pull him out, he was just operating, man. I mean, it just seemed like hype. It almost looked like he was never in a rush. You know, Jerry Rice was doing his thing. John Taylor. It was just absolute domination. And I feel bad for your boy Elway. I know he came back later and got some wins, but
helicopter.
That was the game, right? That was the game.
Got spun around.
Yeah. That was the most dominant. I mean, I know Jerry Rice had a really, really good one. I don't know if it was a couple of years, but this game it belonged to Joe Montana that night. That maybe that whole decade.
I got to jump in before you wrap and just say everybody that calls Brady the GOAT. Brady never had a Super Bowl dominant performance like Joe Montana at any point. Yeah. And that's why I always consider Joe Montana the GOAT if you're going to go there. He hasn't, never.
He's played well. He's played well, but never that well.
Brady's comeback against the Falcons. Come on, man.
It was a great game.
It was great.
I mean, come on.
Did Montana have to come back?
That kid James White should have won.
That's the reason why I think Brady's performance might have been. I mean,
that kid James White should have won.
That would have been my choice if it wasn't for Doug.
Yeah,
I've never seen him like that. He walked them down.
I'm biased. You know why? And I'm unashamed to say it. I like dominance. I love the fact that Brady went out and did that. But guess what? Joe Montana wasn't worried about it. TJ just highlighted the greatest thing I always thought about Joe Montana is why they called him Joe Cool. He was so relaxed, so calm. He wasn't screaming at teammates. He wasn't slamming helmets. He wasn't breaking tablets. You know what he did? He looked up and said, "Hey, there's John Candy." And guess what? He turned around and throw a touchdown. And then he'd smile, go over the sideline, and win another Super Bowl. You know, the other guy, he had to have help recording from people's practices, all the kind of stuff. We're not getting into that. Yo, go ahead. I just had to jump in there. Joe Montana, the greatest. So I'll fight that battle to the end.
Now, I'm really about done. I mean, if you haven't seen that game or even the highlights, just go check it out. I mean, it looks like something off of Tecmo Bowl. It was absolute domination.
It was a massacre.
In a time, not really airing it out like that.
It was a massacre.
I mean, most of football was the run game back then. And he was, I mean, it looked like today. He was just going nuts out there. And at the time, to have witnessed it in real time, be like, good grief.
Yep.
How did the Broncos even get here? I mean, it just looks so loud.
That's true.
Yeah, he was on his DJ Khaled, another one.
That's the statement that was made, yo.
Oh
man,
jump in and take us home on this topic, yo.
So actually, I had a tie at the top of mine, man. Everybody who's been mentioned is Joe Montana included. Is a great pickup. But I had two. I had Terrell Owens.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a great performance. And took the L, but great performance.
14 balls. I mean, like that. I don't know how he broke his leg like 2 weeks prior. I mean, like, you know,
yeah.
I say a lot about Terrell Owens, but when it came down to it, he was there. He showed the hell up.
And he showed up with a broken leg, and then he broke the other one off in the ass. Yeah, the Patriots.
I mean, he was getting loose. He was balling. Ironically, both of the people who tied in a losing effort, I put them as the greatest performances I've ever seen. The second one is statistically, it's not going to look that way. You just had to see it. and that was Mahomes 2020. When the other team is like, yo, what the hell? How come we can't stop this dude in spite of all that? We can't get up. We can't get him to the ground fast enough. I mean, it's the famous photo that was being shared like maybe earlier this year where he was like floating through the air like this. And I remember him flinging that ball, hit somebody in the hands I believe it was in the end zone. Dude just dropped it. I said, what did I just see? I thought that was a glitch on the. Yeah. I was like, what just happened there?
I've never seen anything like that.
And he did it all night. And not only this is also what made that performance fantastic. That's still, I think, to this day, the most lopsided loss he's ever had. It's the most he's ever gotten his butt kicked. And he was getting pushed around. He was getting shoved around. He didn't talk down to any of his teammates. He didn't do anything but put his head down. And he said, yo, we're going to go forward. Lose some dignity, man. Lose some dignity. That's what I respected him. I respected him more after that game, which is hard to do, than I did on all the other games. I was like, yo, this kid is not going to be easy to stop, man.
I have to say, before that game even began, you kind of had the feeling that they were going to lose. Let's just be honest. The Chiefs had a rough week.
I didn't know that their offensive line was gone.
Henry Center just got locked up. The offensive line is just pretty much gone, just all riddled with injuries.
What's funny?
You kind of knew where this was headed.
I looked at it was weird. I looked at my cell phone on Saturday, and I had a missed call from the area code of Kansas City. I was like, what the hell is this? Apparently, on my messages, I didn't check until after the Super Bowl. I was supposed to play offensive line for the Kansas City. See what I mean? Like that's what they were doing, pretty much. That's what they were doing. They were like, "Hey, you busy? I saw on your resume you do some blindside work. That's true." It's like, I was like, no, that's not true at all. Man. Fantastic. Mahomes is good enough. Let's just go ahead and just sign this right here. But yeah, that was it. Those were the two. They both came in a loss, but man, what a musical. And I will say I would throw Jalen Hurts in there as well in the list of everyone else that was mentioned too.
Yeah, those three, the best losing efforts I've ever seen.
Yeah,
outside of LeBron James.
Yeah.
Outside of LeBron James, the best losing efforts I've ever seen.
And speaking of LeBron James, where were you on February 7th, 2023, where after almost 40 years, a record was broken? Right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, NBA's all-time leading scorer, right? No more. Now, LeBron James, who was widely regarded to be more of a passer, more of a Magic Johnson type. Guess what? Quietly crept up in scoring, put numbers on the board. They all count. He is now the NBA's all-time leading scorer. TJ, what do you think about that? Such a historic record held by arguably one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player to play the game, in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Kareem did show up to see his record broken. Yeah. Like, what did that moment mean to you? What do you think about it? Just give me your thoughts.
It's one of those. I didn't know what the exact points numbers were because it was an odd number, right? I just knew that it was
38,000 something.
Yeah, it seemed like it was way out of reach, and I wasn't sure that in my lifetime it would be broken. I mean, especially with with load management and all these other things that are happening now, where players aren't playing as many games. Their careers last a little bit longer, but there's so much new talent coming in every year. Somebody's got to leave, right? So I don't know if the average number of years that most players play in the NBA has gone down since this, but it's something that I didn't see being broken in my lifetime, especially when some of the other people that were scorers didn't make it and fell woefully short. Short. So to see LeBron get that, it was absolutely incredible. And I remember hearing that he was 900 points away at some point. I was like, oh, wow. And for whatever reason, 900 points to me seemed also like it was far away. And the next thing I know, 2 months later, he's knocking on the door, and then February 7th, as you said, he passes it. But what I was thinking when it happened is, you guys hear that expression all the time, records are meant to be broken and all that.
Yep.
if I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I am extremely grateful to be alive when this record is broken. And I am even more grateful that it is a person of the character of LeBron James that gets to carry this torch from now on. I thought it was an incredible moment. I thought it was a beautiful moment. I thought it was a crowning achievement for LeBron. And I was just so happy that he got a chance to share that with his family. You know, they came out and they made the trip to, where were they, in Oklahoma City, I think is where the game was. It wasn't.
It was in LA. It was in LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they might have been in
They were playing Oklahoma City though, I believe.
Okay, but it was in LA. Good deal.
Yeah.
So,
you saw all those stars out there.
I did. I just thought,
listen,
Denzel Washington ain't going to
bring him out.
Oklahoma. He's not even going to film a movie.
Yeah, he seemed to have a rough game when it was over. But yeah, I thought it was amazing.
Aj, what you got?
Oh man, it's as you said, like I think he's coming up on an opportunity to have like a career triple double kind of thing going on, where he's got over 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists, and
I think he's already there.
10,000. Yeah, he's probably already got that. But he's putting numbers on the board that aren't going to be seen. There's three things that I think that need to be taken into consideration with the record that he's put up. Number one, it's that people don't even play as much as he's played throughout the years. If you really think about it, LeBron James has only been hurt severely like once.
Yeah,
and even in that, he still tried to play here and there. He probably averages about 72, 73 games a year, if not higher, maybe 75 games a year. And then in that clip, he's still putting up at least 20. The math on that is stupid. That's the first thing that I think is just games played. Like that's not hard to amass. The second thing is the fact that everybody who has set records like that, they were nearing the end of their career and it was obvious. LeBron James is arguably a top 5 player in the league right now. Like arguably, like he shouldn't be that good. He wasn't supposed to be that good. That's why they went and got Anthony Davis. He shouldn't be that good right this second. He shouldn't be averaging 30 points a game. He should not be.
Go ahead.
Antoine. No, go ahead, man.
I always take umbrage when people say he's not supposed to be, right? When it's a guy but why? This guy spends over $1.5 million a year on his body alone, right?
Look,
he might
average. Let me break this down. Kobe did the same, and it still broke down. LeBron different. I don't know what to tell you.
He's excellent.
LeBron different. He different.
LeBron really put in that work. Like every day, weight room before the game. You see,
Kobe did the same thing. LeBron different.
Kobe was in the gym.
Different.
You see Bron strength training like before games, after games. It's ridiculous the stuff that he does.
I mean,
his
dedication. Yeah. It's not second to none, but it's damn close. I mean, but the thing is that I think a lot of people can put in a similar work, but they're not going to get the same results. Like they're just not. They're not going to get those results. Like they're
not putting in that work, Aj. Let's be real. They're not putting.
Oh, he's putting in that work.
Even if they're not,
he's putting in that work.
Singular.
He's different
person.
Oh yeah.
Like his excellence. Like he's in year 20. Like if you go back and look at Kareem in year 20, he was averaging like 9 points a game. Like what I'm saying? Like this dude's averaging 30 points a game. Like that you should not be doing that. You should not be leading your team, regardless of how good or bad the Lakers are. They shouldn't be led by a guy who's 40 years old. Like you shouldn't be. The reason why they got Anthony Davis was so that he could age out gracefully. Instead, they're like, "Yo, what are we gonna do? I don't know. Get the ball, LeBron." Like what? Yo, he's like 38. He's 40. He is 75 years old. Every time I talk to him, his age is gonna increase.
That's it. Let's go.
Because like I'm telling you right now, man, it's an excellence. It's a bar that has been set, and you got to think about it. He is playing well enough now at 115 years old that he will be able to put this record into the 40. He's gonna score 40,000 points
easily.
But do you know why that is though? And I'm gonna jump in here, right? The reason why Bron broke the record, you had Kobe who went out and tried to get 81 every night. You had MJ practically trying to do the same. LeBron always played his game.
Yeah.
His game was predicated on making the right play. Also, for him not to be clutch, I think he has the most all-time walk-off shots and scored game winners or whatever. He also
executes. He's number 2 in that.
He's number 2 now?
He's number 2. 1? Kobe's got 88. LeBron's got 81.
Before it's all done.
But in playoffs, LeBron's got the most ever.
And Reggie Miller will always be number 1 in my heart. But go on.
Valentine's Day is over. All right. No candy. Listen. Nah, LeBron playing his game has always been the one thing I liked about him, because people wanted him to kind of go murderer's row and just go score. Wanted him to be MJ basically, right? And even MJ passed, but LeBron was always dedicated towards, hey, we need rebounds, I'll get that. We need scoring, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, you need some assists, you can hit the shot, Mike Miller, I'll give you that every time. He was just such an unselfish player. So to see him break this record or even have a chance at it in year 20 at 38 years old, it's like, wow. I felt like we witnessed probably, without question, the most skilled basketball player ever in the history of the game. Because we talk about skill. Listen, he's 1,000 vampire years, right? But he's delivering. He's delivering. And it's like, I don't know if we'll ever see this again where, as TJ said, his impeccable record off the court. Yeah. Also, his business sense. Also, by the way, he's totally dedicated and never cheated the game. Like you said, he has probably one of the highest clips of played games in a load management era, right? Yeah. It's insane. And I watched that and I felt proud as a fan of the NBA that, man, we're never going to see this again.
Hasn't he not scored 10 points in a game for it's been 15 years or something crazy like that? Like he scored 10 points
double digit. Yep. That's a fact.
That's ridiculous.
Doesn't even make sense.
I think the fact that he was able to do that and do it on teams where, it involved Ricky Davis or Kyrie Irving, anything like that. Look, this guy, top 2, easy. And you can debate whatever you want, but you can't debate LeBron's place in history, how he's transformed the game, how he's moved the game. He's done this with a lot of slights, to his game from both current and former players. And you know what he does every night? He shows up and somehow he's the topic of conversation and he still delivers. He's a guy that in breaking this record, I think, isn't Pat Bev your guy, Hodge? He just complained about him. I'm kidding, folks. It's a family show. I don't need that type of slander. But listen, man. Pat Bev just complained about the intangibles basically being the reason the team wasn't working. And you're right. When you're playing with greatness, there's expectation. LeBron is the only player, excluding nobody, at 16 years old that had the weight of the world on his shoulders and delivered in a fashion that he has. And I just think that with Kareem coming out of high school and being the GOAT of his time with that as well, people forget or weren't born at the time, right? But Kareem also was a phenomenal high school player. And at that time, probably could have went pro if he wanted, but went and dominated college. UCLA, I think.
Yep.
Won multiple championships, went to the pros. Lou Alcindor transformed the Bucks before coming to the Lakers and doing the same. It was a passing of the guard that was meant to be to me. But I don't know. It's greatness at a level that's unmatched. With that, we're going to let the great Greg take us home with this.
Well, at this point, I can't be – I don't even think there's an argument about who's the GOAT anymore. Michael Jordan is the best that I've seen at his peak. For someone to sustain excellence for this long is unfathomable. He's the greatest athlete I think the NBA has ever seen. And even when they go off about scoring titles and Jordan got 10, LeBron's only got this many, yada, yada, yada. And now when I sit back and think about it, LeBron James is 38 years old in dog years.
200 years old.
And he's averaging 30 points now.
It's crazy.
Had his focus been just scoring, are we really going to sit here and say to ourselves, a young LeBron James motivated to do nothing but score? couldn't average 40 to 45 points. Think about that. He's 38 and he's 2 points averages lower than Michael Jordan in all of his prime years. And this is him rebounding. And not only that, earlier this year, he passed up 2 people to be top 5 in assists. He's the only non-guard in this position.
It's crazy.
If LeBron James played selfish and was nothing but a scorer, this record probably would have been broken 3 years ago.
Yeah.
If his only focus was put the ball in the hole, he's 38, averaging 30 points. If this guy, once he got his life all the way together, as far as like, because he came in killing it. I think he came in at 18, averaging 20, 22, 23.
Almost 25 a game. Yeah.
Yeah. So once he got into his prime, which he got into really early because he was in his prime maybe 2 years after that, and he's still in his prime now. If his only thing was LeBron put the ball in the hole, there's no way. You can't tell me that he wouldn't average at least 36 most of his career. There's nothing you can do to stop him. If his whole focus was nothing but offense scoring.
You know, Greg, I don't mean to cut you off, man. Yo, I remember I watched the game one time, and I was like, yo, this dude's got like such and such points in the third quarter. I was like, it's almost as if he can score whenever he wants to. It occurred to me. I was like, it's almost as if this dude is he's not scoring on purpose, almost. like I'm
Right.
He's letting other people get involved. And then look, let me tell you how good he is. The night he broke the record, he got 36 points by the third quarter.
Yeah. At
halftime, he walked to his son and was like, yeah, if I score 8 here and 8 here, we can go ahead and, we can get that record. His son was like, well, go get it. He was like, all right, I'm going to get it. And got it. That quarter.
Before the third quarter was done.
That quarter. The quarter before, he was 16 down from getting it. His son said, go ahead and get it. He told his son he was going to get it and got it that quarter.
It's a singular talent.
He's 38 years old.
It's a singular talent, man.
And Greg, he needed 36 points when the game began to get it. Think about
and
that.
got it.
I didn't think he was going to do 36 that night, yo. I didn't think he was going to do it. I didn't think he was going to.
I saw him walk with the black suit. I was like, yo, he's getting it. I don't know.
When this nigga showed up dressed like,
stopping me.
When he showed up dressed like Blade, like the fanciest mortician I've ever seen in my life, I knew it was a wrap. I was like, R.I.P. to the record. That's why he's wearing all black. This is about to be a problem. I knew it was going to be a problem when he showed up dressed like Dracula.
I just don't get. He is.
But like I said, you just think about what I'm saying here. Just think about it. If he had the same job that Jordan had, was get the ball to LeBron, let him put it in the hole. We're not knocking Jordan, because defensively and everything else, amazing. But everybody always says if Jordan wanted to, he could have. If Jordan wanted to, he could have. When you look at LeBron, if you say if he wanted to, he could have averaged 35 to 38 points a game when he was young, easily.
Who's gonna? My thing is like, who's gonna stop him from doing? Like, no one can stop him from doing just himself. Like that's
the point you just made, though, right? That's what he said when he was in South Beach. He was like, if I want to, I can average almost 60 a night or something like that. And he went out and got 62 easily.
Yeah.
And he's not even playing the whole game when he did that, by the way.
Like,
it was like one of those TJ beatdowns he was talking about where they had to pull him back. Like, yo, Coach Spo was like, that's enough for the night. And Bron's like, you sure? I'll give him some more.
I'm telling you, I saw a game. I saw the beginning of one of the Cavs Warriors games where it was him. It was just him. It was one of the series where it was like just him. No. It was him. I think Kevin Love was out there. And of course, like all the Golden State Warriors with Durant. I watched the first quarter. I was like, I don't know if I'm watching this game right or not. I said, but he is twice as good as everyone else on the floor. Like, it was obvious. It was clear. I think I said it out loud. I said, because I always talk to myself out loud when I watch basketball. I was like, I said, he's twice as good as everyone else on the floor. I said, and that's Kevin Durant.
It's not even close.
This was when people were like, "Oh, Kevin Durant's fast." I was like, "I'm watching the game, dog. Like, he's not close at all. No one's close. Like, no one's
51-8-8. Okay, 51-8-8. He was a J.R. Smith put back of a layup from going 1-0 in that series. All right,
this was after it would be different if I saw the box score. This was after the first quarter. I was like, no one is no. I said, regardless of the outcome of the game, that guy right there, he is better than everyone else on the floor by far. Not kind of better, a lot better. And these other dudes, it's not like I mean, Steph Curry with the shot. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on, man.
But go back to the 2015 finals, Joe, when it was just him after Kyrie got hurt and Kevin Love was hurt.
Oh man,
he put on a performance that was like in a losing effort. I've never seen anything like that. He led every statistical category.
He probably had the greatest run that I've ever seen where he didn't end up with a check. That was when Kyrie left. The year that Kyrie left, that's still the greatest run. Like, he had like 5 game winners that playoff.
And
it was just that playoffs alone.
I'll put it to you like this. Every time where I've seen it where they're like, LeBron needs to score a lot to make something happen, he's done it. Every other game, he's have to do all the things. But when, like Boston Game 6, they needed him to go off. He went off, 45. When he played Detroit, they needed, what I forget what year it was.
26 straight.
46 straight.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, that was the year. They had no business beating Detroit that year.
None.
That was a good Detroit team too.
That was in the midst of Detroit going to the Eastern Conference Finals like every year.
Every year. They had just beat one of the greatest Laker teams ever assembled, like the year before. But this is the point I'm trying to make here. I can't be like, Jordan to me is still the best that I've ever seen do it, and that's just based on the grace that he played the game with. I mean, I've never seen anyone make highlights. Jordan looks, when he plays, it looks like that's how this sport is supposed to look. That's what it is. The most picture perfect things I've ever seen in my life on the court is Jordan. Peak Jordan is the greatest thing that I've ever seen. But LeBron James, just on consistency and pure professionalism on the court, I've never seen anyone this good this long. He has no dud seasons. I think the worst thing you can say about him is the whole thing that happened with the Mavericks. And that's because he's not a dick. And he's trying to be a nice guy and get everybody else involved. If he had been an angry dude like Kobe and Jordan, I don't see Dallas beating him because I see him being like, give me the ball, I'm about to go ham.
That is
literally LeBron's biggest fault is he's not a dick. That's his biggest fault on the court. He's not out here trying to take everyone's life. He's getting everyone involved. He's being a good teammate. He's playing the game the way it was designed to be played. It's not selfish takeover type basketball unless it's very necessary.
Those are
LeBron James' flaws. He's a good teammate and he wants to get everyone involved.
He's at the GOAT table, man. That's it.
Yes.
There's only 2 at the table. And like I said, if someone says LeBron James is the GOAT, no, look, the reason why I don't put Kareem in there is because there's a difference in the fact that all the skill sets that are involved, like Kareem's not crossing anyone up.
We don't have time to go into it, man, but there's six chairs at that table. We don't have time to go into it.
No,
we're going to talk about that.
No, there's 6 people invited, but there's only 2 in those chairs.
No.
Ladies and gents, I want to thank you for joining us for our Super Bowl episodes. I'm going to take you home like this. 2 words: Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, LeBron James. 10 words to take you home: greatness does what it wants. You do what you can. We'll see you soon. Take off. Peace.